And you're talking about TBS. That's where I started, at that little station. I told you that, at little station off Peachtree and in Atlanta.
You've not
and
told
that
me
station,
this.
Huh?
You've not told me this.
I hadn't told you this.
No, you've not told me the TBS.
Well,
studio story.
Ted Turner, he got involved in a wrestling business, just showing and they would do the TV there in the little studio. And I worked for another opposition company, and we would do our show in the morning and they do theirs in the afternoon. And we would actually run into each other sometimes in the parking lot. But Ted Turner came back and he said one time, if not for wrestling, I don't think TBS would have made it. It was Channel 17 then. He said we wouldn't have made it. So he's got a lot of respect for wrestling. And so we used to go in there all the time. And Ted Turner was a great guy. He'd be working at the station. We'd all come in. Hey guys, how you doing? He'd wave at us. And so I'm in there one day in the control room, and the show was going on, and he walks in, and he's got this lady with him, beautiful lady. Guess who it was? Sophia Loren.
Oh.
And he was saying, yeah, this is here and this is here. And hi guys, how you doing? And they talked to the control engineer, but he's telling her all this stuff. And she's touring the station with him. And I look at the guys, I says, was that Sophia Loren? He said, yep. I said, you ought to saw who he had 2 weeks ago or a week ago or something. I said, who? He said he had Jane Fonda. I went, what the hell? But that Ted got around, and he was a really, really smart guy and never high-hatted anybody. And he took that one station, Channel 17 went, and this was the beginning of network days. And he took it to all over the US. I guess it went all over the world. But what a genius he was. And I'm glad I knew him.
Was it Georgia Championship Wrestling? Was that the first show on cable to ever get 1 million viewers? This is something from the back of my head.
Georgia Championship Wrestling?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it might be something like that.
But that preceded the TED days.
Yeah.
Georgia Championship Wrestling. That's when the territory days, and even when TED started, you still had the territory days, but Georgia Championship Wrestling out of Atlanta, Channel 17, that may have drew a million viewers. But back in those days, we didn't worry about ratings. We worried about house show attendance, because if they weren't there, you didn't get paid. And that gave way to the TV people, or people who knew TV or sold commercials, getting in the ear of the promoters and saying, hey, you got a valuable product here. So let's get the most out of it we can. So, and that started that. Of course, I didn't hear about all this stuff. I didn't even know what they were talking about. But I knew that wrestling was a really, really hot commodity. And it was hotter than we thought it was. Like in Memphis, we were the best known athletes, or this personality in Memphis, and sometimes didn't even know it. You know, they would be all these people going these places, and we'd show up and people would run over to us. And how can you be so stupid to not know that and we knew a lot of people knew us. We just didn't know the extent of how much we were watched. You know, Memphis would draw a primetime rating on Saturday morning. Puerto Rico used to do it too. A primetime rating at 11 o'clock in the morning. They do a 22 rating, a 23 rating with a 70 share. And I don't know if you know anything much about TV ratings, but those are huge, huge numbers. And I don't know what the biggest viewing audience had. I'm going to say in Memphis, which is much, much smaller than Atlanta, they probably had their highest was like 650,000 in an area. I mean, that's about a third the size of Atlanta. That's how strong it was.
Just to finish on, and then I'll shut down this podcast. How many times did you meet Ted Turner? And when was the last time you met him or saw him?
Oh, I hadn't seen him since then. Since when I was just basically starting out. That's where I started. I started in Georgia. But and I haven't seen him, I don't know, 40 something years. I just heard of him. But I've read a lot about him, and good guy.
So you never saw him when you went back to WCW in 1990?
Never saw him.